Underwriting deals is such a major pain point for people. Most don't want to do it, and the people that are good at it are few and far between. That is why after 6 years of being in the industry and buying over 1,200 apartments, using my best-selling multifamily deal analyzer, I created Real Estate Lab, a full suite acquisition software for multifamily investors. We have built a product that helps investors automate their acquisitions and close more deals, all in a cloud-based platform. You can go to realestatelab.com and sign up today using the promo code TAG2 for 10% off your first 12 months. This is David Tupin. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to The Apartment Gurus, where twice a week, host Tate Siemer brings you deep dive interviews with the wisest gurus in the apartment investing industry. These experts are sure to create game-changing value and inspiration designed to catapult your business to the next level. Be sure to reach out to Tate at www.investwithgreenlight.com for access to his investor portal and Calendly link. And now, here is Tate Siemer and the Apartment Gurus.
Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of the Apartment Gurus podcast. And pleasure to be joined today by Mr. Bill Ham. And Bill has 18 years. And is that all in the multifamily space, Bill?
Single family, starting in single family,
Yep.
ending in multifamily, 18 years.
Yep. That's amazing. I can't wait to dive into this with you. And Bill's the COO of Broadwell Property Group based in Atlanta, Georgia. And he also is a published author, has 2 books on Amazon that we'll talk a little bit about. So thought leader, podcast guest, and just an expert in the field. So Bill, I'm really excited for this conversation. I'm grateful that you came on the show.
Well, yeah, appreciate you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you betcha. So if you would, for me and the listeners, or the listeners and me, I guess is the way that should be said. My grandma's rolling over in her grave right now. But if you could just kind of provide a little more, kind of color into your background and,
Sure.
and story about kind of how you got to where you are today doing what you're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, I've been 18 years now. So I was 27, I believe it was, when I got started. And so I was a pilot by trade, came out of school, went to the aviation academy, was flying airplanes, became a flight instructor. Did that job for way too long and became a corporate pilot sort of after that. I flew corporate for about 3-4 years or so, and then realized I was a really terrible employee. I was, and I realized that the job wasn't exactly what I thought it was. Like everybody thinks being a pilot's like some kind of crazy, fun, sexy job, and all that. It's not. It's a whole lot of waiting around. You flying the airplane is a very short amount of the job. A lot of it's sitting around waiting to be told when and where to fly the airplane. And I loved aviation. I just didn't like I said, I didn't like being told to do it. I didn't like being told when and where.
Sure.
That's what made me not such a good employee. So I spent about a year kind of just reading, studying, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, all the stuff we all kind of read and we're getting started. And I'll date myself. My first course was actually Carlton Sheets.
Yeah.
That is. And I actually had to get the VCR, to plug the VCR tape into to watch my first real estate course, Be Kind,
Yep.
Rewind, and all that.
Yep. That's great.
So yeah, that was my beginnings. Studied for about a year, and then my first deal was a duplex.
Okay.
It was cash flowing about $300 a month, if nothing broke, and it usually did. And I had saved up about 10 grand from aviation. That was my life savings. So I, with $10,000 and $300 a month income, walked away from an aviation career and went into real estate full time. Don't necessarily recommend that. So let me just kind of throw that caveat out there. I'm not suggesting anybody listening, run out, quit your job, go into real estate. Again, I was young, no children, no family, no debt. Life was easy. And I figured, screw it. I'm young. Worst case scenario, I have to go get another job. So that was kind of my decision-making process. So if you're not in that situation, I would strongly recommend you not just quit your job. But I did, and it worked for me.
Nice.
I got here.
Nice. My grandfather was a corporate pilot out of Cincinnati and loved it. Loved what he flew, smaller jets with executives and that sort of thing. Or is that kind of similar to what you did?
It was, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was just starting to get up into some jet time and, advance the aircraft that I was flying and getting into bigger stuff when I quit. Yeah. I haven't really flown a whole lot since then.
It sounds to me like, that in the world, I think there's two basic kind of personalities. There's the employee mentality and then the owner mentality. And, both are great. The world needs great employees and great leaders and entrepreneurs. And it sounds to me like you were just kind of wired differently than working a job for somebody else.
Yeah, I think so. It's just a lot of personality trait that I kind of noticed early on, like in school and things. They called it cheating. I called it syndication. I mean, mindset, potato, potato, right?
That's great.
But really, I mean, it was, yes, to your point. Yes, I think it was a lot of I just cut from a different cloth. I guess I don't know. I don't sit still well. If I'm not moving, I'm sleeping. So, I mean, it's pretty much like that. Yeah. Not cut out for being an employee. It's not that I don't I love working. I work hard. I just don't like being made to do it.
Yeah. And once you've worked for yourself, if you're wired this way, like there's no going back. And, I see that in this space over and over again, and we're all here. The listeners are here. I'm here because we want the time freedom. We want the money freedom. We want freedom of association and all that great stuff that, these sorts of ventures and endeavors bring us. And so
Sure.
I'm curious. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me bring a little color there, because a lot of people bring that subject up. They go, I want freedom. And I say, well, hold on now. I might seem free, but that might only be somewhat of an illusion, because really what I do is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
I might be working on Sunday, but I might be having margaritas at lunch on Tuesday. You don't know, but it's a lifestyle in some way that's not actually freedom at all. Because
Good
I'm
point.
free to get up and go to work on my business all day, every day. I'm free to work on it on the weekends. I'm free to work on it at night. And when something goes wrong, I'm free to go deal with it, whereas hold on, at work, you get your 2 weeks vacation, you get to go home at 5:00, you get to turn it off, you get your weekends, so it's like, be careful when you're thinking about freedom. This is a freedom of lifestyle. Yes. But that doesn't mean that I just sit at home on the couch and collect rent checks coming out of my mailbox, and that it's not freedom like that. So you're free to be an entrepreneur. So a lot of people, I think, have a little bit of a misconception about freedom. You got to want to do it and live it. And yes, then you're free to be free, but it's not free as in irresponsible. Big difference.
Oh, that's so well said. And as an entrepreneur, like, my coaching is to figure out your superpowers in this space, and know what you're really good at, know what you like to do, because if you like to do it, you'll be good at it or better at it, and you'll have tremendous satisfaction out of doing it. And you might even really love it, like Bill does and like I do. And, we live, eat, breathe, sleep this stuff. And, I'm in a similar place to where you were, no kids, not married. And like that affords me the ability to almost be obsessive about, and like you said, I love the word lifestyle that you used. I mean, it's a lifestyle, right? And if you're the owner, like you're basically signing up for living the life of your business. And that's the reality of it. And if it's a good fit for you, if a great fit for you, you're going to love it. And you're going to be happy, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. It just comes with a lot more responsibility, I think, than people stop and think about sometimes. And responsibility and freedom go hand in hand. And this is not a responsibility of freedom of responsibility business at all. As a matter of fact, quite the opposite. Now you're free to be in charge of everything. You're free to be responsible for everything. Right. And ultimately, signing on the line that is dotted.
The buck stops with you. Yeah, buck stops with you for sure.
Absolutely. And so again, that's for some people, it's not for everybody.
That's right. And it's okay that it's not for everybody. There's nothing wrong with the people it's not for. In fact, there might be a lot right with them.
Absolutely. And you don't have to do this for a living.
Right.
You don't have to make a career out of this. You can be very successful in real estate and do it on the side and do it part-time and do it in your free time. I'm making a career out of it. You seem to want to make a career out of it. But let's be clear to all your listeners, you don't have to make a career out of this. You can make plenty of money and be very successful in real estate and not make a career out of it. So don't please listen to this and think that, if you're not like us, then you're not going to be successful. That's not true either.
Yeah, so true. And one of the things that Bill is kind of alluding to is the opportunity to invest passively in these deals. If you're a high level, high achieving employee with in a corporate job or whatever, like you still have the opportunity to get in these deals and participate and enjoy the fruit, so to speak. So that's one of the ways, right? So I'm curious how you knew that real estate was your next path when you were a corporate pilot.
I didn't at all, really. And
Okay.
I just knew it wasn't that. And so monkey see, monkey do is really is the answer. I'm sitting around at the bar with friends of mine, and I'm going, wait a minute, I'm going to get up and go to work tomorrow, and you flipped a house today, and like you made as much money in one or two flips as I'm making all year working. Like, wait a minute, we were all at the same bar last night, all doing the same thing. We're all roughly same mentality, same people. What's wrong with this picture? Like basically these are friends of mine. They're idiots like me. If you can do it, I can do it. And so that's where I started going, wait, hold on, something's wrong here. And I really started to kind of just reevaluate where I was. But I didn't use just dissatisfaction of the job to motivate me. I really spent time studying and understanding real estate and what it was and why it was the right thing. So it wasn't like I just come from a long line of real estate investors, or I always had the bug for real estate. No, that wasn't true. When I was younger, care less about real estate. Wasn't even interested me at all. It just became the path that presented itself. And, and I saw other people doing it and used that example because I thought, well, these people aren't capable of something that I'm not capable of. So if they can do it, I can do it. And that was really, it's kind of a dumb answer, but that was it. I just saw other people that I thought were equal to me being successful.
I love that so much. Like I've always had that too, where, I'm a skier, and when I was really learning to ski at, relatively high level out here in the Wasatch Range, I always had this feeling that if I was right behind somebody and I could watch them, jump into this chute or, do something tricky that it was necessary, that I could basically mimic what they did. Mountain biking, same thing. Like, show me the line and I'll ride it. And the whole idea that success leaves clues is so true. Like, you don't have to. In fact, you should not reinvent the wheel in this space. Yeah, exactly. This is definitely. I love your attitude about, if somebody else can do it, like, they're not any better looking than me. They're not any smarter than me. Like. And this isn't rocket science. It's hard work, but it's very achievable. And like, everybody listening to this podcast can do it. I know you would be not listening to this podcast if you weren't an entrepreneur in spirit and brain function, so to speak. And therefore you're likely more than talented enough and more than resourceful enough to get this done.
Absolutely. And if not, give it a shot, find out. I didn't know when I got started what I was capable of. I didn't know if I was going to be a success or not. I just didn't let that thought process really have anything to do with it one way or the other. I didn't sit there and over speculate and overthink. I just went out and found out.
Yeah. Yep.
Knowledge comes from action, not assumptions. And too many people sit around co-signing their own BS, or sitting around with birds of a feather that may kind of keep their mindset where they don't need to be. And, it's like, don't sit around and assume you can or assume you can't, or just go find out. Just give it a shot. Go do it.
Yeah. I mean, that's great words of advice, like taking massive action steps into a venture. It may or may not be for you. It may or may not go exactly as you think, and that's okay. Like, life is a series of, it's trial and error, right? And that's kind of how life is, and it's certainly how business is, and it's really how entrepreneurship is. I mean, pretty much everybody I've had on the show has had, a long kind of twisted path to where they are today, and I was kind of looking for that moment from you where you decided, you didn't necessarily know it was for you, but you decided you could do it. And that's really just a matter of like talking to your friends in the bar, right?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was just that kind of moment they're nothing special and neither am I. So why shouldn't I try? Why should I? Let me go find out. Let me not sit here and assume. Let me take action and know. And that was kind of been mine. I've lived that way ever since then. I don't, you can tell me the stove's hot and that's cool. I'm going to touch it anyway. It's going to burn me. And I'm going to go, hey, you're right. The stove was hot, but I'm going to own that knowledge. The scar too, mind you, but I'm going to own that knowledge. It's not because you told me so or academic or no, I'm going to go find out.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So let's talk a little bit about what you've done in, the 18 years you've been in this space. Talk about maybe your first deal, your first few deals. I know you've done some creative financing along the way with a lot of units. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. So again, very first deal was a duplex. Actually, I got seller financing from a very good friend of mine, as a matter of fact, and then I refinanced into a long-term loan. My first 402 units were all done with some form of creative financing to acquire them. So 402 units was made up of a lot of houses, 152 unit that I got seller financing on and even syndicated that. A 44 unit, a 27 unit, a 20 unit, I have to count, there's a bunch of them, but about 402 units total, all acquired through some form of creative financing. It was either a line of credit cards. Don't do that. Because American Express sucks, by the way, for financing real estate with. Let's see, match lease options, seller financing, partnerships, just all of it. And the reason was because I was getting started. I had no money. I had no credibility. I had no experience. And I had to get out and learn how to solve problems. And so because I didn't have any money and I didn't have any experience, all I could do is go out and find, tougher assets and tougher deals that people really didn't want to deal with or kind of viewed those as too much of a headache. And so I would find ways to solve some kind of seller problem and get them to give me access to the asset. And then I would bring the sweat equity, the team, the whatever it took to get that thing turned around. And then I would refinance at a bank, pay off the seller, the line of credit, however I got into the deal, and then would be in long-term, stable financing. It's a lot of details to that. That's kind of a 10,000 foot view. But that is a little self-promotion here. That is the book Creative Cash. So I've written, as you mentioned, I have 2 books on Amazon, Real Estate Raw and Creative Cash. And Creative Cash is actually sort of that entire period of my life in a book, like how to do what I did in a book. It's how to understand creative financing, all the different ways of using it and things like that. So if again, probably about the best $16 you're going to spend on that subject, whatever book costs now, $15, nothing.
Yeah.
But
is it on audiobook too? Is it on Audible?
It is actually. Yeah, it's on Audible and it's on Real Estate Raw is not on Audible, but the first one is on Audible. They're both on Amazon. They're both on Kindle. Yeah. Okay.
So Creative Cash, Mr. Bill Ham, you want to go look that up, guys, and learn from somebody that's been through market cycles like, maybe similar to what we're doing and knows how to get stuff done in spite of like traditional debt and equity constraints. How much of what you have done was direct, like subject to seller financing type arrangements?
Well, all of the first 402 units were.
Okay.
I have gotten little pieces of a seller carryback on a 297 unit we did one time. I don't really put that into the category of I did creative financing on that deal, even though, I did get a seller to carry back $400,000 in a second mortgage. That wasn't how I closed the deal. So I don't put that in that category of, I closed the deal with creative financing. No, we went and got a normal loan, but seller carryback, different things of that nature. So I've done all of those, including a lot of syndication, a lot of just general GP, LP, general partner, limited partner, deal structure, go out, raise the money, normal syndication. I've done all of those things. So not everything has been creative financing, a lot of it, but not all of it.
Okay, cool. And so what, as far as how things are, what they look like now, like what's your portfolio like and how does that stuff all look?
My portfolio looks great. It's all in my
Nice.
checking account. I've sold almost everything.
Okay.
Liquidating and selling and liquidating. And so you kind of hit on it. It's a market cycle.
Yeah.
This is what I teach real estate, and I have a lot of students. And one of the things I teach is is kind of what I call a conveyor belt model. And it's like a conveyor belt. And we can go into it. Basically, imagine a conveyor belt. You're just going to stack properties on this conveyor belt and they're going to move along. That's kind of like a hold and operate window. Yeah. So as the markets rise, you want to, build as big of a portfolio as you can. And then when you get up to the top, you want to start liquidating those assets and then get ready to kind of go down the market cycle to the other side. So over the last year, I've been mostly a net seller, and I've sold off almost my entire portfolio, which has been great because, now we're at what I believe is the top of the market. I also believe there's going to be a lot of opportunity coming in the near future. I've liquidated the old portfolio. We're financial. I'm married with no kids, and so I'm literally at a VRBO in St. Augustine, Florida at the moment, spending the summer, where we've rented this place, which is going to hang out at the beach for the summer. Yes, I'm engaged. Yes, I'm working. Yeah, I'm kind of screwing off for the summer too. So I'm enjoying myself. I'm not going to lie. I'm enjoying myself. But so that's where the portfolio is at. It's liquidated everything. Not that was like a super intentional thing. It was just people were really coming up. We listed 1 out of the 3 assets I've sold recently. The other 2 were completely unsolicited sales. Somebody just knocked on the door and we're like, hey, we want to pay you a lot of money for real estate. And we're like, well, we happen to sell real estate for a lot of money. So we sold it. And that's where the portfolio is at. So now it's a time to reset, time to get back out there and build it again.
Yeah. I can't imagine that you're somebody who likes to sit still very much. Right. So that all said, you've got some dry powder, a lot of dry powder, ready to go for opportunities coming up. What do you see on the horizon that is going to be like really exciting and attractive to you?
Yeah, chaos, personally, because I like it when the lights go out and all the chips go up in the air, and everybody makes a grab for the businesses. I think we're headed into an interesting market cycle. I don't think that it's going to be some kind of major crash in the market or something like that. I do think that we're going to see prices level off and cool off for a little while and may come down for a while. I also believe, and this is why, again, I'm not here to sell you books. I don't really make any money from books, so just pardon the narrative here. But that's why I brought Creative Cash out when I did, is because I believe that we are actually going to go into. Well, I know that we are going to go into a cycle where you start using creative financing a lot more. And a lot of people have said that. They're like, "Well, Bill, why are we doing lease options and seller financing over the last 5 years if this is such a great idea?" Because sellers haven't had problems.
Yeah,
because the market has been so inflated. If the seller had a problem, they just sell a property, make cash. There's been no need. But when the debt starts backing up, when the debt raises its rates, when the debt gets less attractive and the debt gets less enthusiastic about funding deals, and that's what we see in this kind of market cycle, the lending pulls back, and then you have a bunch of assets that were distressed or not that financeable. And now you as a buyer really can't go get a decent loan. The bank will give you a loan if you put down 45% down payment, and that's ludicrous. So that's kind of why I wrote Creative Cash. And when I brought Creative Cash out, even though I was back in 2010, 2012, when I did those techniques, I wrote the book more recently because that is one of the things that excites me and that I think is going to be coming in the near future is distress operationally in the multifamily market and in the single family market. And you're going to use a lot of creative financing going forward. Again, I'm not trying to sell books, but I do believe that is truly going to be a subject that is going to be of great value going forward. The people that know how to solve seller problems are going to be the ones that benefit the most.
Yeah. I mean, that's tremendous. It sounds like a really timely read. And so listeners, take a close mental note of that. Creative Cash by Bill Ham, Ham, and go look into it, look it up, order it, download it, whatever it takes. Cause you just never know. You get one thing or a couple things out of something like that makes or breaks a deal in your career. That's huge. It's huge. And we're coming out of a space and kind of an environment where it wasn't very creative. Like, it was a seller's market where sellers were putting properties on the market for, 3 cap, 4 cap type, and they were getting it. There wasn't any opportunity really for creativity because there was no distress on the seller's part, as Bill said earlier. And so with that coming up, like these bridge loans are going to be coming due. They're going to adjust. They're undercapitalized. They're over leveraged. They're poor management in place. Like all those things. Yeah, all of the above are going to create opportunities, and being ready to go with either cash or creative ways of getting cash or getting financed is where you want to be. And you're gonna be in a position for success if you do that.
Yeah, so, I think if you've been a little distressed over the market for the last year or two, maybe you're new, maybe you've shown up lately and you're like, holy cow, this is terrible. I can't find deals and it's tough. Be patient, sit tight, don't run away. This is temporary. This is not normal. You've just come in late in the game, but the market always cycles. It always shifts. So everybody just be patient. I promise you, it's not like this. Not through the whole cycle. Mm-mm.
Yeah, and at Greenlight, we're buying properties that we know we can sit on for 5 years at least, and with fixed rate debt and stuff that cash flows, and we're keeping it pretty simple. I personally I hate to put my pencil down. Like that's so hard for me, and I do that in the spirit of fortunes have been made and lost for that matter in all markets, like up cycles, down cycles, flat cycles. And, but you got to kind of crack the code for, the state that the cycle's in today. And it's never the same as it was 10 years ago or 12 years ago. It's a unique set of circumstances. And this is very different than 07, 08. We've got a supply and demand equation that is keeping multifamily in particular under very high demand, and so it's still an interesting place to be because of the universal need for housing. And when you're in my shoes as the captain of the ship at Greenlight, like we just keep looking forward and keep looking for good opportunities. So, and that's all I know to do, Bill.
Oh, you can do. Yeah. That's just set up your buy right criteria. Know what you want to buy, know the numbers, and know what you're looking for. Just stick to it.
Yeah.
If you don't see it, then don't chase deals. Let it go and stick to your buyer. Where I see people making mistakes is constantly altering their buying criteria based on whatever the seller says today. And they wind up chasing deals. And that's a mistake. And I know you may have signed up for a program or you've been spending a lot of money and time and you're looking at deals, you're not finding any. I understand that, but be patient. No deal is better than a bad deal. Trust me on that one.
That's so true. And the words of wisdom are that you need to underwrite 100 deals before you get the one, right? And that's an average. That may or may not be true.
It's quite true. Yeah. I always say about 80. I think it's about 100 right now. I've always called it the race to 80. So I've always said traditionally you're about 1 in 80-ish that you'll close. I think the number's closer to 1 in 100 right now, but that's spot on. Yeah.
Yeah. And while that, for a listener that's kind of a newbie, that may sound really daunting. Like, it's just part of the business, and it's all this is so doable, and you just gotta, again, just back to that. If somebody else can do it and I can watch them do it, and whether that's coaching or mentorships or masterminds or whatever that looks like, national conferences, like that's the reality is, and we talk about mindset a lot on this show. The importance of being in the right room, like, digitally speaking, like all the listeners that are listening to this are in the right room because we're hanging out with Bill Ham, who's got 18 years of experience and has done big things and has gone full cycle on tons of deals, and is really timed the market pretty dang well, it sounds like in this case, and is poised and ready to pounce on all these next opportunities coming up.
Absolutely. They're coming.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, in the way of, thinking about, going way back to when you jumped in and it made the leap, it sounded like and you impressed me as a pretty fearless guy in general. But it sounds,
I'm not sure which, but
yeah. So yeah, it depends on the day, right? And we all have our good days and bad days, but like what would you say to the the employee that hates working for somebody else, that's looking to get into a space like this, but feels overwhelmed with the size and scope of, perceived size and scope of these sorts of projects, and is really looking at like, how do I get that first deal done? What words of wisdom would you have for someone like that?
Yeah, several things. One, you need to start with the education. That goes really without saying. Doing what you're doing right now, listening to shows like this, continue to follow Greenlight, people like this. Spend your hustle before your dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Don't reach out for an expensive coaching program. Don't reach out for some kind of expensive mentor program that think that's just going to hop you over all the obstacles. Don't do that. Read a book. Spend $15 and get a book. Go watch some podcasts or YouTube videos, or spend all of the time and energy you can consuming all of the low-level, inexpensive information that you can. And when you've consumed all of that, when you've spent your hustle, then reach out for a coaching program.
Yeah.
Then find a mentor, but don't just jump up and sign up for a high-level program. I myself am a coach. I have a program too. And I'm telling you, don't even sign up with me until you've gone and read some books and done some work. There's just too many people out here trying to take too many people's money. They don't know what they're doing and can't teach and don't have the experience to actually be out here. So really spend some time just reading. And then when you're looking for a personal mentor, you want to kind of spend some time vetting that individual. You want to find out about failures. That's probably the biggest thing when you're talking to somebody. If they'll really talk to you and teach you from their failures, you're probably talking to a teacher that can help you. If not, let me put it like this: if they aren't telling you about their failures, either they haven't failed or they're lying, and both is bad, right? If they haven't failed, they haven't been here very long.
Yeah.
And if they're lying, well, that's just bad, right? So. Point being, nobody's been in this business for any real length of time that hasn't had a deal go bad, hadn't lost some money, hadn't had something go wrong. And if they're not willing to share that, then they have some sort of insecurity, and that's not good, or they just haven't been in that situation. And that's the problem with people that have been in this business less than 7 or 8 years. You've seen nothing but a good cycle. You've seen nothing but an up market. So don't get too cocky. Don't get too, these young guys go out here, they close 3 or 4 deals, even full cycle. And they're like, yay, man, I've been doing this 3 years and I've got a coaching program and I'm a genius. I'm like, yeah, come talk to me after a good hard recession. Come talk to me in a year or two after the rates go up and the world change. Then I'm impressed, but just because you've seen the up cycle, don't get too cocky. So I would say, don't jump out for an expensive program. Spend a little bit of money, study, read, do these things, and then get on into something like that. Start where you can. It's okay. I started with a duplex. Hey, 2 turns into 4 turns into 10, 20, 100 eventually. Don't think you got to go big and close big deals. And probably the most important thing I would say is stop watching your neighbors. That drives people nuts. I saw this person close a deal and they close a deal and they close the deal. I'm a failure. I'm not closing deals. They're doing this and I'm not. That'll unravel your head quick as anything. So really don't try and keep up with the Joneses. Everybody has their pace. Maybe the people that you see closing deals have been here longer than you. They've got more minimum. Don't compare yourself to other people. That's likely just gonna unset your mind.
Yeah. Comparison is the thief of joy, I believe is the quote. And at the end of the day, I love the Gary Vaynerchuk idea of it's really just about being happy in life, I think. And, he's got friends that make $60,000 a year, play on 7 softball teams, go on 1 vacation a year, and they're as happy as can be. And this is coming from a high level entrepreneurial coach. There's a lot of ways to skin the cat in life. And, there's no right way or wrong way to do this and to do this business or to do life in general. So very well said, Bill. So a little bit about the other book, other than your cash book, your creative finance book. Yeah. Yep. What's it called?
Yeah. Real Estate Raw. And there's also a website by the same title. So if you want to go get some free info, go to realestateraw.com. Okay. But that is a start to finish how to build a portfolio book. That's what that is I sat down and I said, when I'm working with a student, what's the first 10 hours that I give this student? You know, like what's the first X amount of things I say to a student to get them started? And that's how I wrote that book. So I said, if I'm talking to somebody that knows nothing about real estate, what would I tell them? And that's what that book is. And it is just a step-by-step instruction manual on how to go from zero to a portfolio, using.
Yeah. And, to your point, to your earlier point about, not necessarily jumping into a coaching or mentorship program and reading a book, that sounds like the perfect book to delve into.
Exactly. $15,
Yeah.
I mean, you hate it, call me up, I'll give you your money back. I mean, really, it's $15. You spend your money on stuff like that before you think a $10,000, $20,000 coaching program is the answer.
Yeah.
The coaching program is great, and you need that, and that is the right answer eventually, but it might not be the right answer day number one. And I think so many people feel like they can't write this $20,000 check, therefore they do nothing. And it's like, no. There were so many other levels of stuff you could have done. Don't think that's all.
Yeah. And YouTube University is a real thing. Like, you can get a graduate degree on YouTube, and certainly in the real estate space and the syndication space, like, there is so much on there about this and about all the aspects of this. And,
Absolutely.
If you're willing to, and to Bill's point too, like a coach or a mentor, in my opinion, is a really essential part of, your trajectory forward. I know I got in a coaching mastermind early in what we were doing. And like, we wouldn't be where we are without it. It gave us the confidence to go out and establish our presence in markets and with brokers and start writing offers and all that stuff. But that was long after listening to the audiobooks and listening to podcasts and just going to the local R.E.I meetings and listening to people that do it there. It's kind of like it's funny. It's like baby steps to a certain degree, even though we talk about massive action a lot on this show. It's smart, strategic, putting one foot in front of the other, really. And
you can take massive action, but it doesn't have to be one massive action. It can be massive, lots of little actions, And so that's why I think people, when they hear that term massive action, they think they got to go out and do some sort of large, massive rain-making event. And that's not true. It's massively working all day on the business. It's massive action of just doing it day in and day. It's not massive as in like, you need to just commit yourself and all this focus and do it all right now, just a little bit every day. Analyze my agenda when I tell everybody is analyze 3 deals a week. You need to analyze 3 deals a week, and you'll get to your 80, your 100 in a reasonable amount of time. If you're analyzing 3, whatever you're trying to buy, if it's houses, 10 units, 20 units, 100 units, whatever it is, a minimum of 3 deals on your desktop a week.
Yeah.
You'll get to your 100 sooner than you think,
That's a great rule of thumb. Yeah.
I love it. Don't put 3 deals on your desk, you're never going to get to 100. So it's irrelevant, isn't it? And so it's all about deal flow. That's the only metric you only need to know 2 things in real estate. And I actually say this in the book. There's only 2 things you got to understand in real estate. You got to know the value of the assets in your area. Look at more deals than the next person. That's it.
Yeah.
If you know what stuff's worth, you know what is a good deal, what is not a good deal. And now all you've got to do is go look at deals. It's real simple. But you can know what a great deal is and never look at any. Doesn't do you any good. Or you can look at lots of deals and have no idea what you're looking at. Doesn't do you any good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's deal flow, deal analysis. That's the key.
Yeah. And what that's going to do, if you're committed to that 3 deals a week, 4 deals a week, 2 deals a week, it's going to force your hand on going out and sourcing these deals. And whether that's direct to seller, broker relations, sourcing through property managers, there's lots, there's multiple ways of sourcing deals. But if you don't have that metric in place that, hey, this is my goal, this is my commitment, things can slip and all of a sudden you're looking at a few deals a month, that sort of thing. And that's not going to get the job done. So, yeah. So I'm kind of preaching. I'm preaching to myself a little bit here, Bill, if you'll if you'll allow me. We've got good deal flow. But there's always room for improvement too, right? So yeah.
you got to build a system for the deal flow. And that's, when I don't want to go way off in the education rabbit hole here, but that's what I teach people is how to build systems for deal flow and deal analysis. Because if you can learn how to constantly bring product in the door, and then you can constantly evaluate the product, it's just a matter of time before you find the one that works. Very simple. Like you said in the beginning, it's not rocket science. It's actually quite simple in its concept. The application can be where the effort is, but it's really not that intelligent.
Sure. So just curious, in terms of the sourcing of your, you've done a lot of deals, but has it been mostly brokers, mostly direct to seller? What's it looked like for you?
Yeah. I would probably say largely realtors, but when it was smaller properties, almost all directly to sellers. So the way I kind of tell everybody is like 50 units and under, you're probably better off trying to go directly to an owner.
Yeah.
Cold calling, letters, mails, direct mail, whatever you're doing, you're probably better off under 50 units trying to get to an owner. But I have found that as starting with a house, any kind of direct contact campaign has a high rate of return and then drops off significantly as you move towards 100 units. And if you're out sending, yellow postcards that say we buy apartments to the person who owns 100 units, don't expect them to call you. Yeah. They're not going to. That's a professional owner. They're not going to respond to that kind of thing. That's a realtor. Yeah. So it's like once you're 50 units and up, you're pretty much in the realtor space. And that can be a barrier to entry to itself, because you need to learn how to work with those realtors. You need to learn how to build those relationships and get onto the interior of that system to get those deals. Because like everybody, you're trying to buy something that is not for sale today. Mm-hmm. Right. If it's for sale today and it's on the market today, it's probably a bad deal because everybody's seen it. Right. Yeah. So, and that's the way it works with realtors. And that's why people kind of get this idea that you're not going to find good deals through realtors. That's not true. You're just not going to find good deals sitting around the market today from a realtor because it's leftovers. So you got to get to know that realtor, clear all the garbage off the market, establish the relationship, and then have that new listing 90 days, 180 days come in the door to that realtor. And that realtor picks up the phone, makes a short phone call, because most good realtors will do this. When they get a hot deal, they're going to call that short list of people they know, like, and trust.
That's right.
They're going to be like, hey, Tate, Bill, this is it, man. Hey, this is the deal you've been looking for. Stop by on Tuesday. We'll take a look. Yep. Okay, well, if you got that phone call, I might shoot over there and buy that property long before you ever even saw it.
Yeah.
Good deals don't come to the market. Good deals don't stay on the market long, and great deals don't come to the market at all.
Yeah. My friend Bo Beery in Florida, broker, Bill.
I know who he is. I don't know him personally, but I know.
He's been on the show, and he wrote a terrific book called Multifamily Investors Who Dominate. I highly recommend it. Bo Beery, Beery. If you want to learn the broker relations game from a really high level, it's all about becoming an elite investor that brokers want to bring deals to. That's a tremendous book. So highly recommend that. The other thing that you kind of reminded me of that, I like to talk about is, especially for newbies and people getting into the space, truly that 5 to 50 unit count, right? That, because it's got to be 5 to be commercial. And so if you start at 5 and go to 50, there is ripe opportunity there because brokers aren't calling those people. And if you're willing to fish upstream, and do the work that other people aren't willing to do, you can source those deals. There's no doubt about it. And my guess is Bill, has great ways of doing that, and can either coach you through that or probably read about it in his book. So
yeah, please get the book.
Yeah. So the book, Real Estate Raw. Bill Ham, HAM, and then the other one was called Creative Cash. Thank you. And I'm gonna get both of those. They sound tremendous. Bill, so if listeners want to reach out to you and make contact, and you're a super guy, and I know you're generous. What's the best way for people to reach you?
Yeah, I'm on all the social media platforms. You can just you can look me up pretty easy. I'm not going to go through all the different handles, but I'm on all the social media platforms. The website is Real Estate Raw. I also have a free Facebook group. I do about a 30-minute lecture every Wednesday in Facebook, totally free. no sales, nothing like that. So please come join me on the free Facebook group, and I'll answer all the questions. I work with all my students every weekend there. That's totally free. So please join us in there if you want to work with me, if you have questions. And then if you want to work with me as a mentor, I do have a separate program. I'm not going to get into sales today, but reach out to me. We'll talk. Email bill@gobroadwell.com, BILL at gobroadwell.com. BROADWELL, Go Broadwell. Yeah, just reach out to me. If you got any questions, send me an email. Anything I can help you with, yeah, just reach out. I'm here. I'm kind of got some free time this summer, so give me something to do. Call
That's great.
Yeah.
Free time, dry powder, ready to pounce. I love it.
Ready, yeah. So if you want to learn how to do it, call me.
That's great. So listeners, Bill Ham was the guest here today, and make a mental note of those books. If you really want to get busy and go after it, go get them, go buy them, order them right now. Stop listening to this show and go get busy. So Bill, thanks a ton for being here with us. I learned a lot from you. I love having guests like you on the show that have gone where I haven't gone yet, and where a lot of our listeners haven't gone yet. And that success leaves clues thing is real. And it's generous people like you that are kind of willing to open your playbook for us, and in the form of your books, in the form of podcast appearances that really make a difference. And I'm
trying to leave more than clues. I'm trying to leave more of a breadcrumb trail than just clues. I don't want. Yeah, there are of us that have been out there, to your point, and some of us have circled back around to help others go forward. Kind of like a scout. I've been out there, now I've come back. I'll show you the way.
I love it. We really appreciate it. So thank you. And listeners, thank you for listening to another episode of the Apartment Gurus podcast. We had a guru on the show today. That was awesome. And, we're doing 2 of these a week now. So tune in, leave a rating and review if you feel inspired. And we love those. We will catch you on the next episode, everybody. Take care.
This has been the Apartment Gurus with Tate Siemer. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a rating and review on your favorite podcast platform. To contact Tate, go to www.investwithgreenlight.com for access to his investor portal and Calendly link. He loves to hear from you and thanks you for being a valued listener. Just a reminder that you are the guru. See you on the next episode of the Apartment Gurus.